Sometimes during the modeling process or after you've completed a model, you want to set up some morph targets, some endomorphs. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go over to M for morph, and we'll make a new morph, and I'm just going to call this arms dot down create, and I'll turn symmetry on, grab the arms, zoom in, and I'm just going to rotate those down. Okay, and then you decide, let me change it back to base, then you decide you want to change the scale of the object. So I'm going to go over to modify size, and I'm just going to scale this, let's say 35%. Okay, and you go, okay, good, I got my new size, I'm happy. But if you go to the morph target, the morph is out of whack because we've changed the scale of the object, but the morph doesn't inherit that information. Okay, let's go back to the base, and I'm going to go over to modify, transform, and under more I'm going to use scale morph, and I'm going to type in 35%. We're going to do the same scale, and you can do it to individual morphs or to all morphs, and hit OK. And now our morph is fixed. So if you go through, even if you had 120 morphs, if you go through and have morph targets, but then you scale your object, you're going to want to go over to modify, transform, more, scale morph to fix all the morphs. Okay. If you translate the object, if you just move the object, you're fine. But if you scale it or rotate it, so let's find out about rotation. So I'm going to go to the base, and I just realized that my character is facing the negative z. That's the way I model all of my objects, is always facing the negative z, so that when I load it up into layout it's facing the camera. But if I'm going to rig this character, I always have my characters facing, or vehicles, or anything that I'm going to use motion modifiers on. So I just assume that if I'm going to be rigging something, I need to have it facing down the positive z. So I'm just going to take my cursor here and hit R, R. Okay, so now my character is facing the opposite direction, but what's happened to the morphs? The morphs are, well, that's not going to work. They're quite flat. So I need to fix that. So I'm going to go back to the base. I'm going to go over to modify, rotate more, and I'm going to use rotate morph. And again, we can choose the morph we want, or just transform all morphs. And then for rotate, I'll do 180 degrees down the y-axis, hit OK, and now my morph is fixed. Okay, so if you plan on doing any scaling or rotating of an object that has morph targets, you need to be prepared to come over to modify, rotate, rotate morph, and you need to be able to take advantage of transform more, scale morph. Okay? So that's just a quick look at rotate morph and scale morph, used for updating the morph targets, the endomorphs of a piece of geometry that you've either rotated or scaled.